In this episode, Jim is going to share about a recent speaking experience that he had, the power of story, and a one on one coaching program that we've recently opened up that we have a few spots left. I just want you to hear the stories of lives
Thank you.
impacted.
How you can be the greatest salesperson on the planet.
Welcome to the Rethink Sales Show. My name is Derek Kelly. I am joined by Jim Shorkey.
Thank you so much.
And Jim, you recently got to speak with a group of about 38 real estate agents. And what I found so fascinating when you're on stage or when we're teaching through the podcast is people always come back and they say, that was so impactful. And I remember another time when you spoke to a group of car dealers and they came back and they said it was so powerful as Jim took on one-on-one questions, real scenarios that they were in.
That's a
So,
fact.
so talk through that experience a couple weeks ago and what light bulb moments did you see going off in people? And really, what was your goal that you were trying to communicate as you shared that message?
It's a very complicated question. Thank you for that. I've been doing a lot of research into what it takes to be an effective, impactful speaker. Okay.
Yes.
So I've been studying and reading. And one of the things that kept coming up was telling stories. How does that relate to the audience and Rethink You?
Yes.
And so I had two stories in mind. One was the fact that roughly 2 years ago, I had a very serious stroke. I had a hemorrhagic stroke. I had 3 brain bleeds, and I should have, could have, would have died. I shouldn't be here right now. That's a fact. The second story that I chose to talk about was some coaching from Skip Majerus. He wanted me to talk about bankruptcy imminent. So I spoke about that. I really thought this through, came up with a lot of different ideas of what I wanted to express. But with the stroke, I wanted to make sure, because I've had people tell me that I'm full of crap. You didn't have a stroke. You're full of crap. I did. And so I talked to, and I'm going to try to get through this without crying, but it's very difficult. I talked to my wife, Amy. I talked to Jim, Katie, Russell James, and Daniel, my 4 children. And I asked them very pointedly, I said to each one of them, did you think I was going to die? And to the person, they did. Some more than others. And my son, Jim Shorkey III, said something that really hit me in my heart. He said, the biggest concern I had was that you wouldn't be the same, that you would be really messed up,
Yeah.
that you would be perhaps in a wheelchair or perhaps I had a stroke. It was bad. I found out that there was a family meeting, unbeknownst to me. I was sick. And there was a family meeting. It was over the phone, late at night, after midnight,
Yeah.
I'm guessing. And it was Amy and the kids. And they had to make a decision as to whether they were going to amputate my leg or put me on this. This is not medical advice, by the way. Please don't take this as any kind of medical advice. I may not even be saying it right. I'm just telling you what I surmise happened. And I told this story to the group, by the way. So option 1, amputate. Maybe I did. I'm not sure. But I did tell the story of the stroke. Anyways, amputate my leg or this heparin drip, which the amputate my leg, they were told by the doctor. He was very kind. He said to my wife and family, guys, I would hate to be in your position. He said, this is a terrible place to be in, but we got to do this. So amputate the leg was one idea. And they said to them that my life expectancy would be somewhere around a year. This was not as easy as it sounds. The second option, the heparin drip, was the more long-term solution. However, I could have died from another
short
stroke,
term, yeah.
another stroke / brain bleed. So they decided to go with the heparin drip. I did that, and I survived it. I was talking to Amy after the discussion, and we were just talking further. I said, it's got me really emotional, just continuing to think about what I put you guys through. And she told me something that really got me. I cried. She said that Katie, my daughter, and she visited a home because they thought that there was a possibility that I might have to be put in a home.
Yeah.
Amy's very organized, as is Katie. They just wanted to have their ducks in a row, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so I didn't tell the story to the audience because I didn't know about it. I'm trying to get the idea across to the audience today that I did have a stroke. And I take full responsibility to how I handled the stroke from this point forward. And I've worked very hard on my stroke recovery. My goal, to be clear, is 100% stroke recovery. And that's really the story I told, was how I'm going about doing that. And I was just talking to Marshall about this shirt. It says everything's my fault. Are you saying, Jim, that the stroke is your fault? Of course, to a degree it is. Some probably bad habits in the past, but more than that, my reaction to the stroke, my response to the stroke is my fault. And so I've done a lot of research into what I need to do to recover from the stroke. I work out physical therapy 4 days a week, and I walk. I average over 14,000 steps a day, and I was literally laying in a hospital bed in a lot of pain, and I'm very sick. Dr. Rosellis, who did the surgery, peeks his head in the door and says, Jim, how you doing? I said, I'm in a lot of pain, Doc. He said, Jim, I told you this was going to be difficult. This is a very invasive surgery. I'm cut from here to here. And I said, I'm in a lot of pain. And he said, that's the way it's going to be. I said, Dr. Rosellis, let me ask you a question. What can I do to fix this? And he said to me, walk a lot. Walk a lot. And I said, okay, you're on. That's what I'm going to do. And I decided right then and there. I remember I was laying in the hospital bed. The nurses came in and said, Mr. Shorkey, time to get up. You got to walk today. I walked probably, without exaggerating, 100 yards with a walker. Wow. And I had to take a nap. It was that blown up. And I came home. I'm walking with a walker. And I'm just determined. I'm walk a lot, Jim. And so I started walking with a walker, and then after I was out there in the circle out here, you know where I'm at. I'm out in the circle walking with a walker, and I was like, I'm done with this thing. And just pushed it off to the side, and I started walking without it. And Amy was right there with me, holding on to me, basically, because I was very unstable and weak.
Yeah.
You go through muscle wasting. And so I had to build that back up again. But I've worked on this for 2 years now, over 2 years. And just about 2 years, I should say, because it actually was March the 6th, I think was the surgery, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just about 2 years. The idea that I'm trying to promote to my close people today is once you learn how to achieve one goal successfully, you now know how to achieve any goal.
That's right.
Making money and being healthy is the same thing. It's having a goal, having a reason why that makes you cry, seeking expert counsel to figure out what it takes to get to the goal, and you'll find it. I found it. I always find it. It's there. And then doing that list every day. And that's what I've done. And that's what I'm doing now. Today, if I could help one person to change the trajectory of their life because of this message, this was my thought when I went to see Skip and his people.
Yeah.
I could just get one person. That would bring me so much joy. And it's happened many times. I was in Panera yesterday. Eating a sandwich. And this young lady comes up to me and says, Mr. Shorkey. They call me Mr. Shorkey. I said, call me Jim, please. Says, my name is Elicity. Very unusual name. I even talked to her. I said, and she said, I was at the presentation you did for Skip Majerus, Century 21. I said, what'd you think? She says, oh, it's fantastic. She says, I've already put a lot of this stuff in play, and it's fantastic. It was great. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There's my one.
Yeah.
And that brought me so much joy. And it makes me cry. I said, listen, you can see it. I'm getting emotional here. It makes me emotional because I had so much help when I was coming up, when I was struggling, I was getting my butt whooped, bankruptcy imminent, et cetera, that I always knew that I needed to provide that help to somebody else down the road as my way of giving back. And that's really what we're here to do today.
Exactly.
I got from my expert counsel, and here you can see it in my conversation.
Yes.
I want to be a good speaker, seek counsel. The goal, good speaker. Seek tell stories that are going to hit people in the heart. Those two stories hit people in the heart.
Yeah.
And I had them.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
It does. And I think it gets into kind of the second question that I had, which was just, I've seen you do such a phenomenal job one-on-one working with people. We've opened it up to a small group of folks.
Yes.
And I've just seen the personal impact of Kevin Price and so many others that just have had that personal impact, not just you and coaching them, but also they've seen impact in so many areas of their life. So talk through what that impact of maybe one-on-one is different from maybe somebody just going through the course that we've spent years working
I think
on.
if you study evolution and you study our species, being by yourself was a recipe for death. So we had the tribe. You had to have the tribe because that's how you protected each other and fought off predators, enemy tribes. You had to have your tribe. If you left your tribe by yourself in the savannah, there's a good chance you're going to be taken out because these animals are watching you. They see the tribe. Okay, stay away from there. And then they see this person wandering along. Okay. If you happen to stumble and sprain your ankle, they see that and they know. And you know how fast a lion attacks, what the speed is?
I can't even imagine.
40 miles per hour.
Yeah.
They'll take you out. They see it. Now, today, we don't have that problem per se as far as the death part of it and that immediacy. But at the same time, intuitively, we have evolved around the idea of depending on each other. And by depending on each other, giving and also receiving, this gives us a better chance of survival. We survive, we pass on our genes.
Yeah.
But the one-on-one part of it, I'm sorry, I had my first meeting yesterday with Luke, and we just knocked it out of the park. And I actually followed up afterwards and how do you feel about it? What do you think? I texted him this morning. I said, he has a book that I'm wanting him to read called How to Get What You Want. I said, how's that sound to you? Answer that question for me, please. How's that sound to you? How to Get What You Want. Do you want to get what you want? It's an interesting book, and it's really not a book. It was published back in the early, when I say early 1900s, I mean like 1900, 1908 or something like that, early 1900s. And how to get what you want. And it was a pamphlet that Wallace Wattles handed out. It's literally in book form. Somebody got the idea to do that, which is fine. It's public domain. And these folks are selling this book, How to Get What You Want. So I bought 50.
Yep.
It's 23 pages long. Wow. I texted Luke this morning. He has the book. And I said, read How to Get What You Want over and over again. Keep reading this book. When he does what I tell him to do, he's going to hit it out of the park. I guarantee it. And so that's the difference.
Yeah.
Because we can get real granular with the individual that we can't with the group. The individual has a goal,
Yes.
but the group rarely has a goal.
Right.
There are team goals, granted, but that's a lot more complicated. The individual goals are really fascinating to me. So
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah. I love that because I think you've been talking through, you had that presentation you thought about, and you didn't just think about, you put into action what it looks like to be a good speaker. And then you took that and you told the real stories to people, right?
Yeah.
And there were people that resonated. We did a post after that, and several people were like, I want in on this. I want to learn more. I want to connect. And I think what we're here for today is to say, yes, we have a course that you could purchase, and we think you should. It's been really valuable to all of us. The gym has a few spots left. By the time you see this video, there might be even less.
Would you answer a question for me? What does it cost the audience to buy the course with me doing the one-on-one coaching?
Sure. The course is $397. The one-on-one coaching is $997, so about $1,000, and you get 3 months of coaching one-on-one with Jim, which is every week for 12 weeks.
Now, what's the question that you're reading my mind? So what's the question I'm going to ask you next? It's in my mind right now. Let's see how good you are.
What does it cost you not to do the course?
So the question becomes, it's going to cost you $1,000 to buy the whole thing, $1,000. That's a lot of money. Maybe. Let me ask you a question. What if you buy it for $1,000? I coach you one-on-one for a period of time. It's limited, but you buy it, spend your $1,000. And if you do what I tell you to do, and your yearly pay goes up by a mere 10%, and everybody here can calculate that.
Yeah.
I'll do the math for you. You're making $50,000 a year right now. Your pay goes up by 10% as a result of this program. That's $5,000. If you don't buy the course, your pay doesn't go up necessarily. But because of the course, it goes up by $5,000. So your net expense would then be, your profit would be $4,000.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is it goes on year after year. Yeah. And is it possible that if you apply these principles for the next 10 years, is it possible that your yearly pay could double? By the way, I have evidence that's true.
With Kevin, with
Kevin.
Chuck Bellina, we could probably just
double.
I can name.
So whatever that number is that you came up with in your head, if we're looking at within 3 years doubling that, now, again, using the $50,000 example, that's $100,000. Not buying the program costs you $150. And I said to Marshall, is it possible it could cost you $1 million? Take that times 10 years, yeah, it could cost you $1 million. Because we've heard this 1,000 times, have we not? If we keep on doing what we've been doing, we're going to keep on getting what we've been getting. Jim Rohn said this forever. He said, things get better when I get better. And I talked to Luke about that. I actually had my Think and Grow Rich book out. It's right over there, by the way, right next to Marshall. I had it out, and I opened it up, and in there was this little index card that I had written those very words. Yeah. I can't believe this is here. And he said, things get better when you get better. And my question I always ask, I asked Luke yesterday, what if that's true? I know it's true, but maybe he doesn't. The next question that Jim Rohn always asked is, or statement he made was, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. In other words, work on you, get better. And when you get better, you're taking a better version of yourself to the job.
Yeah.
And you're going to sell more cars, more insurance, more real estate, whatever the case may be. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. That's what I did, gang. That's what I did in the process of my part, in building the Jim Shirkey Family Auto Group. It was a team effort. I was just one of the players. And that's what I remember laying in a hospital bed, really jacked up bad. And I said to my family, I'm going to do what I did. For my part, makes me emotional. In building the Jim Shirkey Family Auto Group, for my part, what I did, that's what I'm going to do to reclaim the Jim Shirkey body. And that's what I've done. And ladies and gentlemen, look at me. I can move my hands. I can turn my head. I can talk. I can walk. I track my steps every day. Remember, I told you Dr. Rosellis said walk a lot, including the walker and getting rid of that. From the day that I came home, it started off with the small walks. I've averaged from that day on over 14,000 steps per day. And as a matter of fact, right now, because I'm very intentional about this, what was I doing while you were setting up for the podcast?
Walking.
Ask Heather. I got 11,900 steps in.
That's pretty good, Jim.
My goal is to get to over 14,
Yep.
which Garmin gives me a goal. I think it's like 14.2, 14.3. And I'll look you right in the eye and tell you right now, I'm hitting that goal. I'll skip dinner to hit that goal. I'm hitting it.
Yep.
Because it's approximately a mile and a half is what it would be.
Yep.
2,000 steps would be 1 mile. So that would put me at 13.9. So it's not even a mile and a half. But I'm hitting that goal. And I do that every day. If I pulled my phone from the past 2 years, it's about 14.2, 14.3, something like that.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome, brother.
Yes, thank you guys. Leave a comment below. Leave us a dolphin emoji. Let us know how this has impacted you, which we are hearing more and more of in the comments. And we'll see you on the next episode.